and welcome to the second Street Fighter 6 tutorial video. Last video I went over all of the basics that make Street Fighter, and in this video I'm going to cover all of the things that make Street Fighter 6 Street Fighter 6. Now this game is surprisingly deep. It is much deeper than most Street Fighter games, so I won't be going over every single little minute detail about the system. However, I will be talking about each individual mechanic and how you should be using them. Starting with counter hits. So if your opponent does an attack and you attack them during the startup of their attack, then you will get a counter hit. Counter hits deal 20% increased damage, and on hit, the frame advantage goes up by 2 frames. So, for example, Ryu's Standing Light Punch is normally +4 on hit. However, as a counter hit, it becomes +6. Next, you have punish counters, which is when your attack hits the opponent during the recovery of their attack, not the startup. When you land a punish counter, the attack still does 20% increased damage, but instead of 2 frames, it gains 4 frames of hit stun. Which means that my jab, which was +4, will become +8 on punish counter hit. In addition, certain moves will gain properties on hit when they punish counter, such as Ryu's Stand Heavy Kick, which causes a crumple. Also, look at the green gauge below Luke's health bar. When you land a punish counter, they lose a little bit of their drive meter, and the amount they lose depends on the damage the attack deals. But before I go more in depth on the drive mechanics, let me talk about the super. So in the bottom corners of the screen, you have the super meter, which starts at 0 and builds as you attack the opponent. It is also the only universal resource that is maintained between rounds. Your health and your drive both reset to full between rounds, but the super meter will stay where it is. You spend your stocks of super meter on supers. And if we go to the command list, you can see all of your characters' supers. Every character has 3 supers. They might all be slightly different, but all level 1 supers are invincible to strikes and throws on startup. They are not invincible to projectiles. Additionally, every character's level 3 super is invincible to everything, all strikes, projectiles, and throws. And as you can see, when below 25% health, it becomes upgraded to a critical art and deals more damage. Your level 2 will greatly change depending on the character. Also, the way you cancel into supers is different depending on the level of the super. Level 1 supers act like special moves, and that you can cancel into them from any cancelable normal. So I can cancel to a DP, or I can cancel to a level 1 super. Level 2 supers are additionally cancelable from your EX special moves, like this. And I'll go more in depth about EX special moves soon. Level 3 supers can be canceled in from all the special moves, including your non-EX special moves, like that. Now watch again and pay attention to the opponent's life bar when I land a level 1 super. As you can see, it drains half a stock. So your level 1 super will drain half a drive, your level 2 super will drain 1 drive, and your level 3 super will drain 1.5 drive from the opponent on hit. Also, all super moves ignore the armor of drive impact. So if he does a drive impact, I can super right through it because the super breaks the armor. And now we can start talking about the drive gauge. Now, the drive gauge does a lot of different things. The first thing it does is it acts like a guard gauge, so it will slowly fill over time while it's not full, and it will go down when you block attacks. Notably, the speed at which it rises increases if you walk forward, or decreases if you're in the air. And you can spend your drive meter to perform a variety of actions. However, if you ever run out of drive meter for any reason, you enter Burnout. While you are in Burnout, you cannot use any drive-related actions. Additionally, if you block any non-normal attack, you actually take damage. Okay, and this is real damage. It can kill you if you're low on health. This includes supers, which deal a lot of damage. Also, when you block, you take 4 additional frames of block stun. So a move that's normally -1 on block will become +3 on block. And if you block a drive impact in the corner, instead of getting crumpled, you get completely stunned. However, upon leaving Burnout, you will find yourself with a full 6 stocks of drive. Now, the first thing that you can use your drive on are your EX special moves. To do them, simply press 2 buttons instead of 1 when performing a special move, like this. EX specials cost 2 stocks of drive to perform and are usually more powerful or useful versions of your regular special moves. And as I mentioned earlier, EX specials can be cancelled into level 2 supers or higher. Next is Drive Impact. Drive Impact consumes 1 stock of drive to perform, and you do it by pressing Heavy Punch and Heavy Kick at the same time. This acts as an extra special move, so you can cancel into it from your various cancelable normals. It has a long startup, but during the entire startup, you have complete armor to strikes and projectiles, and can absorb up to 2 hits. If the opponent does a 3rd hit, or if the opponent does an armor breaker, such as a throw or a super, then the armor stops working and you get hit. Additionally, you still take all of the damage that you would have taken, but it stays as gray health, which recovers slowly over time. However, if you are hit during the time, it stops regenerating entirely and you lose all of it. Additionally, if you absorb an attack while too low on health, the attack can still kill you and you lose the round. Drive Impact is a very powerful option if you don't know how to deal with it. So as a new player especially, you need to watch the previous video to learn how to deal with Drive Impact. Now, there's a lot more in depth with Drive Impact, with how it interacts with the opponent's drive gauge, but I won't go into that in this video. If you would like a more in-depth explanation, check out the description below, which has everything that I know about the game, literally. Next is Drive Parry, and Drive Parry is performed by pressing both mediums. It is probably the most complicated drive mechanic. It serves many purposes, but its primary purpose is basically a block button. When you parry something, the attack's frame data does not change. This move is normally -4, and if I parry it, it's still -4. However, there's one parry that beats all strikes, so you don't have to worry about left-right mix-ups or even high-low mix-ups at all. However, it does not work against throws, and if you get thrown, it counts as a punish counter and deals a lot of damage. Also, if you just tap Drive Parry, it costs half a stock of drive meter, but you can also press and hold the buttons, in which case it will slowly drain your drive over time. Now, there's one more thing with parry, and that is the perfect parry. A perfect parry is when you parry an attack successfully within a 2-frame window of pressing the button. So you can either parry an attack on the same frame that you press the buttons, or the frame after. And that looks like this, and when that happens, you recover instantly. In this case, I ended up at +12 on perfect parry. Also, the opponent cannot cancel that attack as if it was blocked. That makes them a total sitting duck. You get whatever free punish you want. And that was just a jab. I perfect parried a jab and was still plus 12. If you perfect parry a heavy, you have all the time in the world to do whatever combo punish you want. However, that combo will be scaled by half. It'll do half the damage it normally would. Now, that might sound pretty bad. Like, you have to hit a 2-frame window that is variable based on when the opponent attacked, and yeah, you get a combo for it, but it deals half damage. Like, why would you ever do this? Well, the thing about drive parry is it is extremely safe to anything that isn't a throw. Like, yes, if I release the buttons, it takes a little bit of time for Ryu to go from parrying to recover it again. However, during this recovery window, you can still block attacks normally. Like that. So then, what is drive parry used for? Well, it's used for building you more drive meter when the opponent attacks with a non-throw. If I parry all these strikes, I build a ton of meter. In fact, you build 1 full stock of drive meter per strike you parry, and you build half a stock of drive for each projectile you parry. And drive meter is extremely important in this game, so if you can successfully drive parry 1 or even 2 or 3 strikes all at once, that is absolutely massive. Additionally, if the opponent is getting extremely predictable, you can attempt a 2-frame perfect parry to get a full punish on them, but it's never required of you. Perfect parry is just something extra when you have a very specific read on exactly when the opponent will attack. Now, again, there's a lot more intricate detail with the drive parry, so be sure to click the link in the description for those details. Next, we have drive rush. To drive rush, you have 2 options. You can either drive parry and then forward dash, and that will cost you 1 total drive stock. Or you can cancel into your forward dash like a special move from any of your cancelable normals, and that costs 3. So what is drive rush? Well, drive rush is obviously a forward advancing dash looking thing, but what makes it unique is that you can cancel out of the drive rush into any of your normal attacks, and they will gain 4 extra frames of hit stun or block stun. So this jab, which is normally -1, suddenly becomes +3 when you drive rush into it. I shouldn't need to explain how important that fact is. This game has basically no normals in it that are plus on block. All of Ryu's normals are minus or 0 on block, except for this one, which whiffs versus crouching characters anyway. So being able to drive rush is his only consistent way of getting frame advantage, which means that it's also his only consistent way of actually pushing a real mix-up. So what you want to do is you want to, instead of fighting from this range where your normals are, you want to stand a little bit further away, maybe here, and then drive rush into your normals for frame advantage. This is the primary use of drive rush, and it should be probably the second step in your learning process, where step 1 is beat drive impact, step 2 is think about drive rush and how I might use it in the neutral game to advance on my opponent from far distances. Alright, next we have drive reversal. To perform drive reversal, you have to block an attack and then press forward plus both heavy attack buttons. And this costs 2 stocks of drive and cancels out of your block stun with an invincible attack that deals low damage but knocks the opponent away on hit. The caveat is that it is blockable, and if it is blocked, you're probably going to get punished because it's -8. Additionally, these act like supers in that they will armor break through the opponent's drive impact. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that all of these frame data modifiers stack. They add together. So a counter hit adds 2 frames of hit stun, but Drive Rush adds 4 frames of hit stun, which means that my jab, which is normally plus 4 on hit, if it counters and I Drive Rush, well, let's see, it goes from 4, the counter puts it up to 6, and the Drive Rush puts it up to 10. So if I counter hit with a Drive Rush jab, it goes from plus 4 all the way up to plus 10. I gain 6 total frames of hit stun. Likewise, if I get a punish counter plus Drive Rush, I get plus 8 total frames. And if the opponent is in Burnout and I Drive Rush, I get plus 8 total frames of block stun. Next, I want to talk about forced knockdown. So normally, if I jab the opponent out of the air, they flip in the air and then land on their feet. This is called an air reset. Now, once this happens, the combo is over. I cannot continue the combo no matter how fast I attack. However, there is a specific mechanic called forced knockdown, which has 2 prerequisites to it. 1, the attack needs to be a counter hit or a punish counter hit. And 2, the opponent's attack needs to not be a normal. It can be a command normal, or it can be a special move, or it can be a super. It just can't be a normal. And if those 2 conditions are met, then if the opponent is hit out of the air during their attack, then a forced knockdown will occur, and that looks like this. And what this means is that for this attack, which would normally cause an air reset, it instead causes a regular juggle. But basically what it means is that now this combo works. And again, this only works if 1, your attack hits as a counter or punish counter, and 2, the opponent is not doing a normal. They're doing either a command normal or a special or a super. And this includes moves that push your character into the air, such as Ryu's Tatsu, or moves that are performed from the air and stay in the air, such as Ryu's Air Tatsu. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything that I wanted to cover in this video. Again, click the link in the description if you want more specific details on how these mechanics precisely function in the game engine. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when I upload more Street Fighter 6 videos. Be sure to join my Discord if you want to contact me in any way or be notified when I do anything. Discord is by far the most efficient way to contact me. And if you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month. Or become a member on YouTube, which will give you access to whatever emotes I come up with, because right now I only have like 2. Well, that pretty much wraps up everything that's completely universal about Street Fighter 6. From this point onward, I'll have to start focusing on more specific things, and for that, I would rather just wait for the game to come out to make sure that nothing changes. I'm pretty sure that the overall structure of the game, which I have talked about in these 2 videos, will remain the same, but those details might be a little bit different.